Welcome, dear viewers, to Lumen this day. My name is Sidney Mwamainda. Now, in Zambia, there's a lot that has been happening, and the discourse that is not going away is that of the Constitution amendment proposals from the UPND, and main stakeholders have spoken. That is just one of the stories that we'll be looking at, and another story will be, of course, the joy that the Universal Church celebrates the discharge from hospital of the Holy Father, Pope Francis. I'm joined by Vincent Piri on today's episode. Vincent, welcome to the program. The Holy Father was released. It's one of the programs or the stories that we have to look at, and also we have a story of a 16-year-old boy who had a bullet lodged into his chest, and it was successfully removed after 5 years at Mainasoko Military Hospital here in Lusaka. Dear viewers, you are free to make your comments on the stories that we have today, and even your phone calls are most welcome. Just to begin with, I think we'll delve into the story of the Constitution. I've spoken that many stakeholders have spoken. The church has made its voice clear, and many other stakeholders. But as of yesterday, the NGOCC also made a comment, and let us just listen to Madam Beauty Katebe. Before that, later on we'll call Mr. Mohabi Lungu of the Zambia We Want political party to also get his political party's position as regards the amendments to the Zambian Constitution. Here is Madam Beauty Katebe of NGOCC.
It was imperative that we facilitate a consultative process with our members to determine the organization's position before commenting on the matter. At our membership consultative meeting convened on Thursday in Lusaka, it was conclusively agreed that the Non-Governmental Gender Organizations Coordinating Council, in principle, welcomes a national constitutional amendment process to provide for increased participation of women, youths, and persons with disability in politics. We cannot say no to the process basing on the time frame. If time can be squeezed and what we are looking for is given to us, that wouldn't be an issue. So we cannot say no because we don't have time, or yes because we are saying yes to the process. If it is going to happen within this time before elections, well and good for us, because this is the thing that we have been advocating for. Time immemorial, since inception, NGOCC, Zambia National Women's Lobby, other organizations, we've been advocating for the inclusion of women, youths, and persons with disabilities.
Welcome back, dear viewers. That was NGOCC chairperson, Madam Beauty Katebe. Vincent, the issue of the Constitution amendments keeps coming.
Yeah, well, it's good to amend the Constitution, but yeah, I think the timings also.
Okay, so online we have Mr. Mohabi Lungu from the Zambia We Want political party. Mr. Mohabi Lungu, welcome to Lumen this day.
Lumen, I'm grateful.
Yes, sir, in February, on the 19th, if I remember too well, your political party launched a manifesto and also its constitution. Today in Zambia, we have this discourse of a constitution which has been making rounds, and main stakeholders have spoken, made their positions clear. As of yesterday, the NGOCC chairperson, Madam Beauty Kastere, also made the position of the NGOCC known. What is your take on the amendments of the Zambian constitution?
Okay, no, thank you very much, my brother, and good morning to all of the listeners. Let me start with the way you started, and that is to indicate that we, the Zambia, we want launched our manifesto some 3 weeks ago. And it is from there where I want to just emphasize what we believe, because people must be able to stand for what they believe. In the manifesto which we launched, we were very clear that we were of the view that any constitutional review, any constitutional amendment, anything to do with us trying to amend the law which governs us must not be tied to an electoral cycle. And we didn't come to that conclusion as a matter of accident. We came to that conclusion because in observance of what has been happening in this country over the last 30 years since we turned over into a multi-party system, there is a clear link between political parties that are in power wanting to abuse the constitution when we are heading towards the elections in order to give themselves an advantage. That was the case with the third term with Chilua. That was a case of amending the constitution in order to back Aunda. That was the case with the Bill 10. So there is a historical precedence which nobody can refute, that governments in power tend to try and abuse reforms of the constitution just on the eve of an election. So on that basis, we were very clear as a political party that there should be no such amendments tied to an electoral cycle, that all such amendments should happen early in the administration's life. The first 2 to 3 years we close the process, and no one should be deluded to try and change the constitution on that basis. So I think that is a very fundamental point from our perspective, which shows that we have not taken this decision against what is going on as something that is particularly against what the UPND is doing. So I think that is very important. The second issue is this. I think that it's unfair. It is truly unfair, and any reasonable person would regard it as unfair for us to begin to discuss a constitutional process for which we do not know what the contents are. I think that is completely and totally unreasonable, you know. And even for the positions that we have taken ourselves, of course, we have done so because there was a historical point. But how can it be that people can be supporting to do something on the basis of lack of detail? What sort of a society are we? If we are going to be saying, I mean, the devil is in the detail. And I find it extremely difficult that people can ask us that we should all be jubilating and dancing all over on the basis of lack of detail. That is how societies collapse. And it is unreasonable to suggest that. I don't know anywhere in the world where the government would expect that people should be dancing around approving what they're saying on the basis of lack of detail. It's unheard of. And we should stop this as Africans. I think for the moment I'll stop here and hear the other side.
Okay, Mr. Mwabilungu.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Mwabilungu, you are very clear. You can hear you. Now, I want to find out the issues being put forth the representation of the women, the youths, and the disabled, but also delimitation of constituencies, and also to do away with by-elections. Are those bad proposals?
Yeah, look, there is an English term called red herring. There is an English term called red herring. And the red herring means that it is a way to trap you, okay? To lead you to a situation where you think that you will get favorable treatment, but in fact someone else has got a sinister motive. A monkey in the field is caught by the hunter putting a piece of meat at the end of a snare. And you put a nice piece of meat there, and then you wire it up onto the tree, so that when the monkey comes, they will see that there is a piece of meat that is ready for the eating. It's called a trap. It's called a trap. Okay? Even the way when we were boys, when we would hunt birds, we used to use what is called ulimbo, to give the impression to the prey that there is something that is advantageous for you, when in fact it is intended to trap you. Okay? Put something shiny, something glittering, something with veneer, so that it could be used as a basis in which you should be lured and lured. And we as Zambian people should be too clever for those things like that. I also give an example that some of us, when we were young and excited with hormones, we would always say, I want to be able to overcome that lady and sleep with her. It's crude, but I want to give this example. It's crude. And what boys do when they are young and they want to take advantage of a woman, not rape, I'm talking about concession, is that the girl will resist. First I will say, no, let me just raise your skirt, and then when the girl raises the skirt,
Mr. Muhabirungu,
together.
Mr. Muhabirungu, you talked about the details, the need for the details of the proposal that the government is giving to amend the constitution. Are you saying if the details are given and then they are appealing to you, are you going to change as the Zambia we want your current position on the amendment of the constitution?
I think you are very clever. You stopped me from giving my example, but I will accept. But let me ask your question. Let me answer your question. Look, what I'm saying is that the manner in which the government has started this process is to put us in a position where they have presented a shiny object where some members of the community can in fact say that this is a good process. It is a trap. Okay, it is a trap. And our position is very clear that no matter how good or glittering the proposal appears to be, that the objective of this constitutional amendment is at the wrong time, and that the issues in which they are raising require an enormous amount of deliberation. The proportional representational system is not as easy as people think it is. And it's a big movement for us to come to a conclusion. We need to discuss this matter thoroughly. We can't discuss it at gunpoint. Okay? The issue of delimitation has got a lot of issues that must be raised by law. And in one of the articles which was written by Mr. Shindano, who was at the Electoral Commission of Zambia, he raises a number of legal issues, which cannot be resolved in a matter of at gunpoint. So for we as a Zambia, we want, our stance is very clear. It is not based on dislike of the UPN deal, because it is based on the fact that we don't think that such a process should happen on the eve of an election. Okay. And I mean, the election, meaning that there are elections next year. It should not happen now.
Mr. Muhabirungu, thank you very much for having joined us on Lumen this day. We'll invite you for a longer program where we discuss only this matter. Thank you very much.
I am very grateful, my brother. Yes. And greetings to all of the listeners, and happy weekend.
Thank you. Okay. So Vincent, that was Mr. Muhabirungu. I think we completely discussed. I think we've gotten their position. Maybe we move to another story of the young boy who was successfully helped by the medical officers at Mainasoko Hospital, who had a bullet stuck into his chest from 2020, only yesterday.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing that happened. Because look, I think in the past, when we have situations like this, the first thing you think of is being evacuated to another country, South Africa, India, and so on. But I think it's good to see that even in Zambia now, such things can be done. And I know that the chest is one very complicated organ of the body, which, if not well handled, I think the situation can lead to sadness. But if it was successfully done, then I think this is good. And I think with Maina Soko, this is not the first time that they are doing something that is remarkable in Zambia, so to say. Even in January, I think this year, January, there was a 28, 23 old, if I'm not mistaken, who had a brain tumor, and they worked on what they called a rare operation. They operated the young man while he was still awake, and they were able to talk to him a few instructions here and there while they are doing their operations. And it was a successful operation, which I think the Zambian doctors, the Zambian medical personnel can be given a kudos for what they are doing this time around. Because look, like I said earlier on, when we have situations that required specialist doctors, usually would go outside Zambia for medical attention. But now, at least, we are able to handle these cases on our own.
Mm-hmm. So background, dear viewers, to this story is that in 2020, the boy was hit by a stray bullet while he was sleeping in his home in the Nkambika compound in Mazabuka district in Southern Province during the gassing incidents that rocked the country. And the doctor at the center of the operation was Dr. Mbambiko, who described the boy's situation as a miracle because the bullet did not affect any vital organs in his body. The surgery began at 14:48 and concluded successfully at 16 hours. I think we all know the story of the gassing that was happening in the country, a sad reality. And then, but it is a stray bullet, we are told. It's just a caution to those people that own guns and those that could be, is it the police, could be is it the soldiers, that
it could even be a civilian person.
Yes, it could be a civilian, yes. Who fired that gun and went into the house. I think it's also a warning, cautious, that we ought to be cautious in the way we handle the guns that we have and where we fire them. The other story, of course, is that of the Holy Father, who was admitted in hospital in Rome from is it the 14th of February and only discharged on Sunday, is it the 23rd? Yeah, so let's see a video of the Holy Father coming out of the hospital and from that window greeting the people and blessing.
Cheers for a smiling Pope Francis Sunday, waving from his hospital window, his first public appearance in more than a month. The Pope, his speech weaker, saying thank you to the crowds below.
I did see the Pope. It was actually quite a wonderful experience.
It's a blessing to have this happen on our trip.
The 88-year-old pontiff released from Rome's Gemelli Hospital, waving from the front seat of a car as he returned to the Vatican after a 5-week stay, treated for life-threatening pneumonia in both lungs.
The Holy Father was never intubated, and he always remained alert and oriented.
His doctors adding the Pope still needs at least 2 months of rest and rehabilitation. Pope Francis not offering his usual weekly prayer Sunday, and he's still recovering with Easter quickly approaching, the most important event in the Vatican's calendar, and a demanding one for the Pope, who usually leads at least half a dozen masses during whole...
So there we are, dear viewers. The Holy Father discharged from hospital on Sunday after about, is it 38 days or so, having been admitted in hospital. Vincent, your take on that?
Well, I think it's a very good thing that has happened. Like you said, about 38 days in hospital. And looking at his age and what other people were saying, we heard stories that he has died and so on. And I think the visuals there can confirm that he is still alive. And has made some remarkable improvement in his health and in his road to fully recovery.
So we've seen, dear viewers, from the visuals, the people they are shouting, Francisco, Francisco, we love you. Yeah. We are here for you. And the Pope responds, thank you to everyone. Yeah, so there we are now. What shame goes to the people that we are saying, no, they are hiding, the Holy Father is dead. There is.
Yeah.
So another wake-up call to people who are sometimes overzealous, sometimes enemies of other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you start spreading news that is actually not news. And there we have the Holy Father fit. But thanks to God and thanks to the prayers, and the church has asked that we continue to pray for the Holy Father, and then the Holy Rosary prayer still being prayed, asking for the intercession of the Virgin Mary. Vincent, as we run towards the end of this program, let's get into sports and just hear what is happening.
Yeah, of course, the Zambia national soccer team today will be playing a friendly against Russia. And they are playing this friendly because it's a window, a FIFA window. Initially, they were supposed to be playing against Congo Brazzaville, who have been suspended by the football governing body, FIFA. And so they will not participate in the CAF and FIFA sanctioned games. So Zambia has taken advantage to play against Russia, who also faces a similar situation, as we are aware that Russia are also suspended because of the war situation that is happening. Russia invaded Ukraine, and so they've been suspended from FIFA and UEFA games. So the two. So Russia took an advantage to play a friendly against Zambia, who was free during this period, and so Zambia is playing today at 19 hours. Now, the situation is that quite a number of players, Zambian players, are missing in the camp. These are the players like Patson Daka, Frankie Musonda, Lamek Banda, Kelvin Kampamba. Quite a number of players are missing, and they have various reasons why they are missing. Some it's because of visa issues, others are still recovering from their injuries. But of course, I think if you saw the way Zambia played the qualifiers to the Africa Cup, I think they played largely without their usual players, and I think this is the situation that Zambia still finds itself in, playing this friendly today. And I watched Russia last week. They played against Grenada, and they were able to beat Grenada by 5-0. They are quite a very good team, the Russian team. But again, if you look at the quality of the Grenada team, I think they are way beyond. I mean, they are not really a very good team. So I think Russia had a very good game during that game. But again, Zambia should be wary of their left wing. They tend to use the left wing quite often, and that's where quite a number of moves that resulted even into goals came from. So I think the Zambian team should be wary of the wing play. But again, even before that, the coach for Russia talked about how Zambia can also be dangerous, especially with the wingers. They are fast, and he talked about the physicality of the African teams. And so so we expect the two teams that will have quite some kind of respect against each other. So this is going to be a very interesting game. The last time Zambia played against Russia was in 1980. This was at the Olympic Games that was hosted by Russia itself. Then Russia was called the Soviet Union, and Russia won by 3-0 in 3-1. The only goal was scored by Yuka Godfrey Chitalu. And Zambia in that Olympics Games, They were in the group where they had the host Russia, Cuba, and Venezuela, and Zambia came out without a win. They lost all of the games and packed their bags and come back home. But this game is going to be interesting because I think if you look at the way Zambia has been progressing in the recent times, I think they would want to continue on that trajectory because look, they qualified to the Africa Cup. No one really gave them a chance. Looking at how they played with players that were not regulars, but they were able to qualify the Africa Cup. And yeah, I think they will continue from where they have left, even playing against Russia today.
Now, Vincent, always in Zambia we have had this debate to say the preparations that the national team should align with the games they are playing. Yeah. We are going to play Russia today, and then our opponents are African teams. Yeah. How does that marry?
Well, I think for this arrangement, I think we had to fall for what was available. Yeah, we had to fall for what was available. But I think, again, it is an offer that I think Zambia cannot refuse. Because
we want to travel to
not that really, not that really, but because they are playing a stronger opposition. If you look at maybe the opposition that will be available during this period,
but it is an opposition that is stronger, but without some of your best players. Does it help? You said Patson Dak and others will not be so how does it help us?
It will help them because look, this the core of this team that they are taking to Russia is basically the same that qualified Zambia to the Africa Cup. Okay. So largely for me, let's just say Patson Daka and all these other players that are not in the team, they should fight for their positions. For me, I think this actually creates a competition in the team because now it means when Patson Daka has to come into the team, you have to fight for a position because Musonda has proved to be a very good striker. Lamek Banda also has got players like Sabobo Banda who have played so well when he was absent. So I think now when they're coming to the team, they'll have competition and they'll have to fight for their position. So I think this actually in a way creates some kind of competition which is good for the team.
Vincent, I know you want to talk also about the under-17.
Yes,
just briefly because we are running out of time.
Okay, the under-17 also have qualified to the Africa Cup and they traveled to Morocco, the host nation, yesterday night around 19 hours. And they're in a group where Zambia will play against the host Morocco, and there's also Uganda and Tanzania. And this is a group that is very interesting. Two teams from the East Africa and one from the North. Of course, Morocco, we played against them at the previous Africa Cup that was hosted by Algeria, and Zambia won by 2-1. And so I think Zambia will be hoping to get a revenge, a repeat of what happened last time. But of course, this time the Moroccans are the host. They will have their supporters behind them trying to root for them. So this is going to be another very interesting tournament. This tournament, the under-17, is also a qualifier for the Africa Cup. There are 4 teams, group A, B, C, and D, that are participating. So the teams that will qualify to the quarterfinals, the 8 teams, will actually qualify for the World Cup that will be hosted by Qatar in November this year. So this is as much as the teams will be looking at maybe winning the Africa Cup, they should also be looking at qualifying to the World Cup that will be hosted in Qatar. And so 8 teams will qualify, and then 2 will play a playoff. The 4 third runners-up will play in a playoff that will determine 2 teams that will join them to play at the Qatar World Cup.
Okay, thank you very much, Vincent. Dear viewers, I think this is where we come to the end of this program. I would encourage you to follow the discussion on the constitutional amendments that are being proposed, and be careful of what you hear, and try to be alert to what is being proposed, and just know what is happening in your country. And as you know, the Constitution is like the Bible for the nation. So it is a very important document, and the church has made a comment concerning the same debate and many other stakeholders. So let's follow this debate and see. I know a lot of people will be coming for and against, but let's stand together and remain united. Until the next time when we come on Thursday at 09 hours for another episode. From me, Sydney, and Vincent, the entire Lumen TV crew, for now, it's bye and continue watching Lumen TV Zambia.